I was a little afraid of getting a copyright strike, so I opted to use a picture of Clancy for Midnight Gospel that I have myself personally drawn using the Paint app on my computer. I ask that you please do not take my silly little image. I love it quite a lot, even if it is a silly little image. So I'm going to do a rough, review of Midnight Gospel. If you're interested, there are so many different, reviews out there of Midnight Gospel, and I just, why would you click on this one? But anyway, you have for whatever reason. So I'm going to give you what you clicked on the video for. Midnight Gospel is something that took me completely by surprise. I was surprised that something so trippy and nonsensical in some cases, yet so on point and intuitive and introspective even existed. It seems like most of the shows that we watch these days are slighted one way or the other. But this was a bit of a combination of lots of different things. Some of the characters and scenes in Midnight Gospel looked as though they could only have come from an acid trip, maybe of one of the writers. Like, it's really, really interesting. And, the cartoons obviously are super trippy. And they're complemented by the clarity and the introspection of the podcast. By the way, this is a podcast. Well, Midnight Gospel isn't a podcast, but it's based off of a real podcast called the Duncan Trussell Family Hour. By the way, as of the year 2020, over 380 episodes of this podcast have been made. But basically, I guess the plot of this is that the main character, Clancy, as you have seen, the picture that I drew. He lives in a trailer and he spends his time scrolling through various planets he wants to visit in what appears to be kind of this trippy, cyberpunkish kind of computer behind him. He then puts his face through this, vaguely suggestive, vaguely X-rated little traveling simulator. Like, he puts his face through the thing to the right of him. And then he's like blasted to whatever planet in whatever galaxy he selected on his computer. And in these travels of his, he meets, interesting alien-like creatures with backstories who further his knowledge of reality, the universe, more importantly himself, I'd say. And that is basically the premise. That is the premise of the series on Netflix. And the podcasts are with the creatures that he meets on these planets. And of course, it's paired with the trippy kind of cartoons. Excuse me. I wouldn't normally do something like this, by the way. I wouldn't normally use the Paint app on my computer to draw Clancy. But I just freaking love, Midnight Gospel. It's so unique. Nothing quite like this has ever been made. And, why not? Why not? So, I feel like the reason why Midnight Gospel is popular, at least relatively popular, right? We all kind of had this desire to have a trippy, sort of withdrawn buddy who's always playing video games or smoking weed or maybe daydreaming, or maybe he's, super late to class, torn jeans, undisheveled hair, who, for the most part, he gives responsibilities and what's conventional and what's accepted as his responsibilities, he gives that the middle finger. And we all kind of wish that we did the same, I think. I think we all have kind of this desire to have a buddy who's kind of on the fringe, who's kind of edgy. And the characters that Clancy meets are all kind of weird, but they have something to tell him. Edgy people have something to tell us, or at least we think that edgy people have something to tell us. I think that that's generally true. So anyway, this is a really unique concept that's being worked with here, and it's interesting. I would certainly check it out. I'm a bit of a fanatic. I love this show, a lot. And that is all. Please comment, like, and subscribe. I have 0 subscribers. So please, my friends soon to be. All right, take care.